This is the 18th season of Bass Talk Live. With your host, Matt Pangrath. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries.
PTL, coming at you!
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Bass Talk Live. It is Tuesday, March 15th, and today we're going to talk about bass fishing. We've got an interesting show for today. It is like, I like to talk to the anglers. I like to get into the fishing, dive deep into the psyche and what's going on the water and stuff, but we still got to mix in some business shows every now and then. I went with the collared shirt today because we have kind of a business show. Bass Pro Shops announced the World's Fishing Fair. It's the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops, and this thing, in my opinion, it kind of popped up, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but it wasn't like on our radar for a long time. They did the team tournament, the Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open, where the college kids ended up winning $1 million. I think they gave away over $4 million there. There were like 8 qualifiers. That concluded last November on Table Rock Lake, and we're like, man, Bass Pro Shops really jumped in the game there. They've been in the game, obviously, supporting pretty much all of the professional organizations. But then they came out and announced that they were doing the World's Fishing Fair for the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops. And this thing is like massive. It's benefiting conservation, presented by Toyota, and it's at the Springfield Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World Expo, and we're going to get into what it's got, but they're expecting, I think, 500,000 people here. It's got all the top pros, tons of concerts, celebrities, all sorts of stuff. So we're going to talk to Cara Davison, and this is a title right here. I had to write this title down. The Senior Vice President of Dealer Sales and Support Services at White River Marine Group. So she is going to come on to talk to us a little bit about what is going on at the World's Fishing Fair, kind of give us an update on what Bass Pro Shops has in the works. I told her, I said, I'm going to ask about this Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open deal because I know a lot of the amateur team competitors want another crack at that thing, another crack at the $1 million. So we'll see if that's on the table. But I know a lot of our listeners are in that kind of Midwest area, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, that type of neck of the woods, and this thing going on, it's about a month and a half of it's coming up close. It's like March 30th through April 3rd, so it's like 15 days away. But we'll have Cara on to talk about that and all of the good stuff that Bass Pro Shops is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And they are at the Harris Chain in Florida. And shockingly, a Florida pro is leading that event after 2 days. Christian Grego had 38 pounds even after 2 days, 22.5 on Monday, which was yesterday. And they are currently on the water. They cut to the top 50. They do full field, 50, and then the final day cut. But to make that top 50 cut, it took 27.06. And I think there's only like 3. I think there's more more California anglers in the top 15 than Florida anglers, which is kind of ironic. But I guess the Delta and Florida fish kind of similarly this time of the year. But like I said, wrapping up kind of the Florida portion of it. In the second half of the show today, I want to get into some things. Oh, this is actually what I wanted to get into. Okay, that was Mark Jeffries who just texted me. So Mark Jeffries is on vacation, and I know people have been waiting to get Mark Jeffries back on the show after it, and I was going to start a new segment and hopefully today that segment will start. It's called Where in the World is Mark Jeffries, where we check in with Mark Jeffries from various locations after his retirement. And Mark's on vacation right now. Mark is on vacation. Him and Carolyn are headed down to see the giraffes in Texas. And I said, dude, this would be a great first segment for Where in the World is Mark Jeffries. So he's got the link to it. He said, working on getting a signal. I'll keep you posted. Hopefully we don't get hi-hatted by Mark Jeffries, but I would love to get Mark on in the second half of the show to talk a little bit about what he's been doing since his retirement, what his thoughts were on the Classic, possibly a little bit of the upcoming Redcrest information that's going up. I do have some more info on Redcrest. That expo starts at the end of next week on, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday towards the end of the month. And I will be in the Pro Guide battery booth there on the first day of the expo at 12 and 3, and then also in the Bass Tank booth. So if you're in the area, you want to come by, see the guys at the Bass Tank, check out the new lithium and Pro Guide batteries. I will be there for that. All right, I see Cara in the queue. She is on a schedule. So unlike most fishermen, we have to stay on schedule here. So we are going to run a couple commercial breaks, then bring Cara Davison back in. She showed me a list before, because we actually did like kind of a pre-show meeting for this. So she showed me a list. I think there's like 60 some pros that are going to be doing seminars at this thing, at the World's Fishing Fair. So we'll be back with Cara Davison, the Senior Vice President of Dealer, Sales, and Support Services at White River Marine Group. She probably has to have like a 3x5 business card to get all that stuff on there. It is BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back after this.
Bigger and better. The Lowrance Ultimate Fishing System upgrade now offers more. A new $200 rebate on Active Target Live Sonar, and bigger savings with up to $1,200 cash back. Pick fish finding tools to fit the way you fish. From high-performance sonar and ultra-quiet ghost trolling motor to navigation and networking tools that bring it all together. Find more, see more, catch more.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us.
Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
The KVD 100 jerkbait. 15 different colors. A perfect combination of roll, wiggle, and flash. Increased castability. 3D eyes. Premium black nickel hooks. KVD. Tie one on. Striking lures.
Welcome back to BTL on a Tuesday. It is March 15th, and it is time to go to probably a very busy person in the industry right now, and that is Cara Davison of the White River Marine Group. Thank you for joining us on BTL today, Cara. How are you doing?
I am great. I was reading all of your comments over to the side, so that's what I was busy doing right now.
You got to be careful reading those comments sometimes. They can get a little bit out of hand.
That's okay. That's okay. We have thick skin around here. It's all good. As long as nobody calls me a Karen today or Jinsaki, we're all good.
You have to be absolutely crazy busy right now. I am on the website for the Bass Pro Shops World's Fishing Fair, benefiting conservation, presented by Toyota. And individually, each one of these things seems like a massive undertaking. And in typical Johnny Morris fashion, he said, we're going to just group it all together and have everything in one spot at once. And we're going to make it the biggest and the baddest and the best. And we're going to do it in 3 days right here at home.
How did you know, Matt? We are bringing the biggest fishing party to Springfield, Missouri that anybody can ever imagine. And it's about to go down in about 2.5 weeks, March 30th or April 3rd. You're right.
So this is the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops, and you guys, well, you probably weren't involved in the 1988 edition of this, were you? The World's Fishing Fair. That's probably a little bit before your time.
Not much, but a little bit before my time. So I have been here 21 years. So I started in 2001. So.
Okay, yeah. But they did this in 1988. It kind of looked like a Barnum and Bailey circus. You can see some of the pictures of it, and they had over 200,000 that attended that. There's a really cool little 5-minute video, and it seems like a lot of the same premise are kind of followed for the 2022 edition. Just as a whole, how would you describe what is going to go down here in a couple weeks in Springfield?
Well, I truly believe it's 1988 on steroids. If you watch that 6-minute video, it's funny to look at that 6-minute video, even back then, several decades ago, to see the big tents and the folks that will be coming again. So we'll have Jimmy Houston and Hank Parker and Roland Martin, Bill Dance. They were all at the 1988 first iteration of this big showdown in the middle of Springfield. And it's just, you're right. We're kicking off our 50th anniversary, but of course the precursor to that was last year with the Bass Pro Shops US Open that culminated on Table Rock Lake on November 19th, the championship. So I think you said yesterday you had a buddy that fished that, and just a lot of feel good that came from that in the industry. And
it was. So he fished it. He said afterwards, I was over at his house, and he had a Bass Pro Shops reel there and a hat and all the giveaways. And he's like, dude, he's like, that's an awesome reel. And I said, well, how was it? And they missed the cut. He was kind of ticked about that. And he's like, man, we're idling out on the first boarding, and he goes, Johnny Morris hands me a coffee and shook my hand as we went away from the dock. He's like, and it kind of spun me out. He's like, I didn't even realize who it was. He's like, TJ looked at me. He's like, I'm pretty sure that was Johnny Morris. And he looked back and he's like, you're not kidding. That was Johnny Morris who just handed me that coffee. So kind of cool to see him that involved. But he's always been involved in the tournament fishing side.
He is, that's how he started, right, in the tournament fishing side, and leads to a lot of interesting conversation around, just where we are today, where we sit in the tournament industry, and then also, with the pros that we host, and just the fact that that's how he got his start in the industry, and he cares so much about it. So, but it was funny. He was out there every single morning of that tournament. So all 3 days, frost on the docks, and his hands were shaking. It was that cold, handing out coffee to everybody. But it was a great celebration to kick off what we will see here in just a few short weeks in the middle of Springfield. I think we're even shutting down a street or two to get people in. We're anticipating about 500,000 folks. And what's funny about that is we literally had 200,000 back in 1988. So I don't know if that's our founder dreaming and his math of the 500,000. I don't know how we got to that number, but I can tell you based on the hotel rooms that we've contracted that we'll probably be there and beyond, I would say.
That's insane. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that Johnny, like this whole thing, he's a diehard tournament angler. Like he was 5 full years on tour, made the Classic all 5 of those years, 13th in the Angler of the Year, couple top 20s in Bassmaster Classics. I mean, the tournament aspect of this is in Johnny's blood. And one of the cool things is, the last year that he fished there, I was doing a little research before this. The last Classic that he fished in was the 76 Classic that Rick Clunn won. It was Rick Clunn's first Classic win, and that was on Lake Gunnersville. Really historic win. I actually did kind of a documentary a couple years ago on Lake Gunnersville that kind of culminated with Rick's win there. That same year, his last year, Jimmy Houston was the Angler of the Year. And both of those guys are going to be doing seminars in a couple weeks at Bass Pro Shops. So, these guys have known each other for literally 50 years, and they're still doing it. We were talking about it, 70s, 80s, and just the energy for the guys who are the pioneers, the founders of our sport. I think kind of as a guy who grew up in this industry, I think it's really important to kind of know the history and to have these guys back, bringing them back still, seeing them at the Classic, seen them at events like the World's Fishing Fair. Just cool stuff.
I agree. And, it is a celebration of history over the past 50 years. And, last weekend at the Classic, or I guess it's been 2 weekends ago now, at the Classic, John was there. And of course, Jimmy was there, and Roland and Bill Dance and all those fine folks were there. The year prior, John showed up at the Classic when it was in Fort Worth and walked through. Funny, was walking into our booth, and he walked through the entire expo, and he's coming up to us with bag loads of lures and tackle that he had bought and equipment that he had bought along the way into our booth. So it's still in his blood. Like I said, I've worked for him for 21 years, and I think he goes faster a little bit every day, and still very involved in the business and very involved in the tournament circuits as well from a support standpoint. You mentioned the starting out young, and I wanted to mention, we've got a world casting champion.
Yeah, that was my question. I've got the trophy right there. I'm going to brag a little bit, Cara. I'm not going to lie. I got into this thing. I was the 1998 Bassmaster Casting Kids National Champion. That's how I found out about this. 1998. I was 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But I saw on this thing they're highlighting the World Casting Championships with the exclamation point after it on it, and I was like, you know anything about this?
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting, actually. So they're going to have, it's all amateur, so anybody that comes to the fair, so ages 10 and up, and there will be qualifying rounds every day, so Wednesday through Saturday, and then Saturday afternoon's the championship. This is kind of a fun thing. So the top 5 out of the amateurs will face off top 5 pros. Can't tell you who they are right now, but top 5 pros. And then one from each of those groups will face off on Saturday, sometime between 4 and 5. They'll face off with John and JP Morris in the final championship of the casting tournament. So that's pretty
really
something fun to watch anyway. So you're coming, right, Matt?
Well, I have a Bassmaster Open on top of that weekend.
I understand.
I know. And then my girlfriend was looking at the concert series, and she's like, "Do you have to fish that?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, it's like kind of what I do there."
She might change mine. So speaking of that, the concert, so that's another thing. It's kind of like the Route 66 Festival too, coming to Springfield. But there's, if you check back into BassPro.com, every once in a while there's updates. And so we're still waiting for this one major announcement that will should hit sometime, hopefully today, with more updates as we go. But, just a tremendous star-studded, if anybody's into country music and gosh knows in the great outdoors, that's about all we listen to. So, Luke Bryan and Dierks Bentley, Chris Jansen, Hank Williams Jr., he's a big deal. I'd love to have Willie, but we haven't gotten Willie yet, or Reba, but just some really cool names. And we have another one to announce. So make sure to check back in to BassPro.com often, and we should have that updated.
I mean, the real question is, will Bill Dance be on stage when Luke Bryan sings a song?
That'd bring a tear to your eye, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's the real question that's going on. We mentioned the pros. You had a list there. I don't know how deep you can go into the list. Can you name any of the other guys that'll be doing seminars?
This list, I highlighted just some really cool names, but I mean, literally this list is 60 some pros long.
Holy cow.
It's huge. So I'm glad to see you work.
How many people are working on this? Like roundabout, are there thousands of employees working on it, or hundreds?
No, I'd say hundreds probably. It takes a team, it takes a village. We like to execute in a fashion that makes everybody proud of conservation and the great outdoors. So we don't like to. And
you're at the top. You're organizing all of them.
I'm not. No.
Okay, because I need some tips. Because I'm doing a one person show here. I've got 5 sheets of paper, and beforehand I was like, I gotta make sure these 5 sheets are organized in here.
I think I could beat you. I'm working on Post-its this morning too. So.
Post-its are underrated. I need more Post-its. Jeffrey keeps them all in the office. I need to go pull them out. All right, back to the pro list. Name off a couple there.
So we talked about Bill Dance. Mark Zona is going to be there. Big deal. Rick Klein, you mentioned him. Chris Lane, Skeet Reese, Mark Daniels Jr., Brent Ayler out west, Randy Howell, Triton Pro, Ott Defoe, Kevin Van Dam, Edwin Evers, Wade Middleton. I'm skipping over some. There's a lot of names. Clark Winlet with Ranger, Mike McClellan, Pigman's going to be there. George Poveromo, Diego Torian. There are Mako saltwater pros off of the east coast of Florida. Keith Cavallas up north with Gary and Chase Parsons. Ronnie Green coming to us out of out of Nitro and out of Florida, Larry Nixon, one of our neighbors here, Jimmy Houston, Shaw Grigsby, Casey Ashley, Terry Scroggins, Jacob Wheeler, big deal, Bradley Roy, big
It's
deal.
a lot of trophies.
Dustin
It's a
Connell.
lot of trophies.
So Bradley Roy and Dustin Connell alone, I mean, they're, that's some big names there. So, and Brent Chapman's coming in. So really excited about that. But, also even this is the world's largest fishing show. It's going to be, we have over 500,000 square feet of exhibits, 150 manufacturers with over 200 exhibits. It's going to be a big deal. We'll have all of our world-class boats on display. So Tracker, Nitro, Ranger, Triton, Sun Tracker, Regency, Mako, Tracker Off-Road, you name it. It will be there on campus. So it's going to be a big deal. And you mentioned earlier too, and we'd be remiss to not go there, our fine partners at Toyota. We've had a couple decades long relationship with them, and they're partnering with us to help present the largest fishing show on the earth. We couldn't do it without them. So we're super thankful for their involvement. And then also 50% of all gate, concert, all sorts of fees, they're all going back into conservation. That is a huge deal. And you'll remember back at the Bass Pro US Open Championship, we handed off a check for $1.6 million back into conservation. So just a really big deal. And again, coupled with Toyota there. So, and you know what, too, I want to tell you, there's something for everybody. So Paw Patrol is going to be there if you have the kiddos.
I'm unfamiliar with Paw Patrol.
Well, I
what
started
is Paw
to write
Patrol?
Blues, so that kind of shows my age too. I have an 18-year-old daughter, so not
Okay. It's like the new Blues Clues.
That's a great question. Let's go with that.
Okay, we'll go with that because I'm more like the Dude Perfect speed. Like I remember, I'm all about them.
Dude Perfect's going to be there. So NASCAR, we have several NASCAR drivers that are going to be there. Austin and Ty Dillon, Richard Childress will be there. And then also PBR. So if you're into the professional bull riding circuit, they're going to be there as well. Luke Snyder and Ross Coleman. So just some really big names, and everybody's dedicating a lot of time to making this happen. Larry the Cable Guy will be there. So just something for everybody, truly.
And then schedule wise, is that like something that you need to just check back on Bass Pro? Like if I want to hear Kevin Van Dam's seminar and Larry the Cable, like whatever, that I just need to go back. Like where do I need to go to get that schedule dialed in? That
will all be posted on that BassPro.com with the World Fishing Fair as the following. If you'll just click back into that, probably I'd look at it once a day from now on out, because I can tell you it will be changing. Pretty dynamic. Energy feeds energy around this building, and so you can never outthink our visionary founder. Mm-hmm. So we're always adding fun stuff. And I do want to mention too, there's a giveaway every hour at this fair. So, and it leads up to a Saturday giveaway of a Toyota Tundra, a Bass Tracker Classic XL, and a Tracker Off-Road ATV. So lots of fun to be had in Springfield, March 30th through April 3rd.
You did mention, we did mention at the beginning, the U.S. Open Amateur Team Championship that went down last November, started with 8 qualifiers and culminated with the $1 million giveaway. All of those entry fees, like you just mentioned, Bass Pro Shops and Toyota matched in support of the National Fish Habitat Partnership, $1.58 million for that. But the real question here is this thing happening again, Cara? There's a lot of people that want another crack at that $1 million, and it was hard. There were a bunch of people that weren't able to get in, and it was crazy when that went down.
Let us get through this World's Fishing Fair, the biggest fishing event in history. Let us get through that, and I'm sure there'll be something dovetailing right into that. So just
okay. It's still. I mean, it's not a no. It's still on the table. There's a potential that something down the road could be for another fishing.
Just hang on.
It's a bass fishing podcast. I got to ask about the tournaments.
It's fair. Cara. That's fair. Just hang in there with us. Just hang.
All right. Yeah. Conservation wise, too. It's amazing. Bass Pro Shops make so much money. It's amazing how much goes in there. It's just insane. But it seems like for Johnny and the entire team over there that conservation is really at the forefront and really important to you guys. Is that something, regardless of what BPS does, conservation is always an aspect of that?
Absolutely. I mean, we have, if you think of just so many different ways that we pour back into the conservation community, but not just financially, but, with lots of education type series. I think of the Wolf School that we host over at the Wonders of Wildlife Museum. That's a affiliation with the Springfield school system. And about 75 kids go through that program every year, learning conservation, hunting, fishing, along with math, science, and reading, of course, but just a really great program, and so many different ways that we invest back in community involvement with conservation too. It's a pretty big deal. We team up with Springfield Greenways around here and other local area regional type conservation initiatives too, where all of our stores are located. So it's first and foremost, and it's one of our pillars of the business that's very important to us.
Is there an entry fee for this? Just if you want to just go, you don't want to go to the concerts or anything, you just want to get into the fair and walk around?
There is a charge per head, and I can't tell you exactly what that is right now.
Okay.
I know in 1988 it was $10 a head, and we had 200,000 people through there. So I would imagine, take that sensible through the decades, probably something comparable to that.
And then part of that goes to conservation.
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll just wrap up a couple more things. If you're planning on going this and you haven't been to it, in 2017 when they opened the Wonders of Wildlife with the aquarium there, that thing is awesome. It's phenomenal. Part of the reason I like it is it houses the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Johnny Morris, a 2002 inductee into the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. We have the induction ceremony at the Wonders of Wildlife every single year. We just had that induction ceremony last year. We'll have it next year there. But if you haven't, it is well worth the time to go through that. And don't give yourself an hour. Give yourself like
3
days. You could do 3 days. If you're a bass fishing nerd, you need to spend 3 hours just in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame section. But it's therapeutic and exciting at the same time. What's your favorite part of WOW?
Honestly, it's the buck room. I love the buck room. I
really?
Know it has to do with fishing, but yeah. So I have a big hunter in my house, and he'd fish if he had more time. But our mantle's got some nice racks. Not mantle, but fireplace has some nice racks on it. So that's kind of where. That's where I would find my zen, I guess, in the museum. I mean, it's all great. And I'm glad you brought that up, though, too, Matt, because there are discounted tickets available during that special 5 days. So that's pretty significant as well to be able to go through that museum during that time. So, anything else that I left out that you wanted to make sure you got in here? I was looking at my Post-it notes to make sure that I talked about everything that I wanted to. Conservation, Toyota, NASCAR, PBR Pros, Paw Patrol, Dude Perfect, and hotels. We have hotels, special hotels also. If anybody wants to come over and they stay up a little too late at one of the concerts or have a little too much fun, there's hotels that we're contracted with. So, and it's all on BassPro.com. All right. Well, we stayed right on schedule. I know you have I know you've got a busy couple of weeks coming up. You went to the Bassmaster Classic. Yes. What'd you think of that? Red Crest next week. Will you be there? I will be at Red Crest for a day, but I have another tournament then. Like my April and May is shot. It's like gone home, gone home. I know. But I'll be there too at Red Crest. So I would love to say hi to some of your community and fellow listeners. If you guys want to stop by, I'll be in our booth most of the time. So Friday and Saturday, and just looking forward to meeting. Was that like the Bass, the Nitro? Yeah. Ranger, so, Nitro booth? Nitro, Ranger, Tracker Off-Road, Triton. We're all there. Bass Pro Shops. Again, celebrating our 50th at the Red Crest. We'll have about the same layout and same situation. You guys had like a log cabin at the Classic in the middle of the display. Like a full-on, like a log cabin hut, didn't you? That was not a log cabin. That was... That's funny though. That's the original storefront. So, born in 1972 in the back of a liquor store. That's the original storefront. That's what you would see. So, and that was our home for, the first few years of Bass Pro Shops before we took up residency over at Sunshine and Campbell. So doesn't that also exist at the Bass Pro Shops in Springfield? Like you can walk through the original. Mm-hmm. Okay. Same thing. That wasn't the actual one. You guys have like a mobile one then. We do. It's such an important structure for us that we have several that we take wherever we need to go. So you may see it at Red Crest too. Fantastic. Right. Well, Cara, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have fun. Don't well, no, you're a pro at this. You've been doing it 21 years. I was going to say don't get too stressed out, but this is just another day at the office. We have the best jobs in the industry, Matt. Who are we kidding? So have you ever gotten to fish with Johnny? No, I've not gotten to fish with them.
Oh,
I
okay.
have not, but that would be a dream, wouldn't it?
It would be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good morning, and thank you very much for your time.
You too. It's our pleasure. Thanks so much for having us on.
All right. See ya.
See you soon.
That was Cara Davison of Bass Pro Shops, and there have been a lot of opportunities to get up and close with some of the biggest names in the industry, some of the biggest things, see a lot of things that are going on in the industry. Like I said, there's been a couple of big boat and tackle shows in Tulsa this off winter. You had the Bassmaster Classic, you have Red Crest coming up, and that's going to be in Tulsa, and then just a few hours away after that, the Bass Pro Shops World's Fishing Fair going on. One of the things that that Cara, we kind of talked about before, but she didn't mention, was all of the vendors that are going to be there. Over $10 million of tackle and display priced to sell. It says there's over 150 leading tackle manufacturers that will be at this World's Fishing Fair. And she also highlighted and told me, it's not just the big box ones too. She also said that there will be some of the smaller mom and pops, and the ability to get a lot of tackle. Nate, can she get me a job at corporate? Now we got people trying to get her to get a job. All right, we are going to take another break. We're on the verge. Now we will see. I told Jeffries, I gave him a time, and I hope he doesn't high hat me on this. They had a specific time that they were going to go in and see. I don't think it's April the giraffe. I think it's just the giraffe display. That they were going to see the giraffes. But when we come back, yesterday I did a segment, and I did not know this at the time, and it was just weird how it worked out, on anglers retiring and then coming back. This was based on the premise of Tom Brady retiring and then unretiring. And I said, it's kind of weird. You don't see a lot of anglers that retire and have kind of a farewell and then kind of fade away. It just seems like that next year you look at the list and they're not on it. And you're like, well, what happened to so-and-so? Oh, he's doing other stuff. He's not there. There's been just a couple of retirement tours. Well, then Timmy Horton, he's won over like $2 million. He announced some interesting stuff. So we're going to get into that when we come back. And then I also want to recap. We've been doing a lot of interviews with all this stuff. I want to recap. We're about a quarter of the way through the seasons, a little bit more, a little bit less in some of them. But we're about a quarter of the way through the seasons. And I want to recap the Angler of the Year races in the BPT, on the MLF Pro Circuit, and on the Bassmaster Elite Series. So it's BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back after this.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? Well, the Bass Tank is here to help you. The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
The new Android series is the peak of the Denali lineup and offers the ultimate Denali experience. The Android series features 36-ton multi-directional graphite combined with interlock blank technology for added strength. Each rod is outfitted with royal titanium guides that will not fail. The blank is fitted into an easy-touch, soft-feel EVA foam grip with exposed blank reel seat. This all allows the Android to transmit every movement of your bait and even the most subtle bites. The Android series is the finest rod Denali has ever made and offers an angler the ultimate fishing experience with a limited lifetime warranty. See the full lineup of Android rods at denalirods.com. Vibrating jigs are a great choice for any time of year, and the Kamikaze Swim-On is a perfect match for any vibrating jig. Two sizes and the unique tail design gives it a bait fish profile and a great swimming action for realism. There are 17 colors. See them all at bigbitebaits.com.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-Bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Welcome back to BTL on a Tuesday. Big thanks to Cara Davison of Bass Pro Shops White River Marine Group for coming on and talking a little bit about what is going on at the World Fishing Fair in Springfield, Missouri, at the end of the month to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Bass Pro Shops. I did get some heartbreaking news from the one and only Mark Jeffries, who said, and I quote, "No signal. I'm in the Texas jungle." I was unaware that there are jungles in Texas, but we will get Mark on soon in a monthly segment. Where in the world is Mark Jeffries? What I'm picturing is, having Mark StreamYarded in from basketball practice where he's making guys run lines, or the bowling alley where he's in an empty bowling alley by himself practicing his hook, or reading the lanes, or whatever they do in bowling practice. Before I get to Tim Horton, I did want to mention one cool thing that came across the fishing wire a couple days ago. And it's the Big Bite Baits recycling program. Big Bite Baits, obviously supporter of both me and Bass Talk Live and Brad Hallman. You see what we did a couple years ago there with the creation of the BFE. But they have a recycling program called Cast, Catch, and Convert. And it kind of caught my eye because they just partnered with the Illinois Bass Nation, Illinois, where I grew up and was a member of the Illinois Bass Nation back in the 1990s before moving to Oklahoma. But they've teamed up with the Illinois Bass Nation to create a used soft plastics recycling program. I'll just read some of it. It says, Ralph Sweats, the late president of the IBN, spent countless hours collecting used plastics and recycling them into autographed plaques and new baits that he gave away at events. His motto was, these baits are never going to end up in a landfill, and I'm going to make something out of them. To expand Ralph's vision under the new partnership, the Illinois Bass Nation will be collecting used soft plastics during their events in 2022, and Big Bite will help facilitate the recycling. These recycled soft plastic baits are not used in new lure production, but are sent to an outside vendor, and then the recycled plastics are turned into shoe soles. In exchange for the soft plastics mailed in, Big Bite will provide the Illinois Bass Nation with new baits to distribute to the folks who helped donate and got this program started, and those who helped keep it together. So the Cast, Catch, and Convert campaign, and I'm saying right now, I would love a pair of shoes where the soles are made out of recycled BFEs. I think that would be a hot seller. All right, on to the topic of bass fishing and retirement. And I think this also kind of plugs in with Bass Pro Shops. Is Tim Horton yesterday on his Instagram announced, and it's kind of long, and I'll just go ahead and read what Timmy Horton said. He said, "This has been on my heart for a few years now, and I'd like to share with all of you. The last 22 years have been incredible. Fishing professionally has been a blessing. And the success I've had has been icing on the cake compared to the friendships and partnerships I've made along the way. Over the last several years, I've noticed a change in my motivations professionally. Sure, everyone likes to win and receive accolades, but the most moving feedback I received is hearing fellow anglers thanking me for my videos, my content, and sharing my knowledge. That is where my heart is in fishing. I love filming for the television show and social media and sharing these things I've learned over the years with those who don't have time to spend on the water. Because of that, I have decided to concentrate on the television show and filming content and spending time in Bass Pro Shops, visiting with anglers, doing seminars, and furthering efforts for conservation. Like I said, it kind of ties into what we talked about in the first half of the show. The truth of the matter is, as good as all these guys are in Major League Fishing, you have to be all in to compete with them. Since I've been trying to both compete and keep up with the television show, I feel like I've not done either to the fullest of my ability. So after talking at length with Kim and my family and consulting with Bass Pro Shops, Tracker Marine, and my sponsors, I have decided that although I may decide to fish competitively occasionally in the future, this will be my last year competing on the Bass Pro Tour. One of the topics of Major League Fishing and the MLF Big Five opportunities exist now for young and aspiring anglers is unlike anything that's ever been available. I'm proud of where we've got. Anyway, he's starting a new chapter in his life, and he's going to have a lot more content out. So that's a big news there. Like Tim Horton, when you remember he came out, he's got almost over, he's over now if you combine everything, over $2 million in earnings in 2000, jumped out of the gates extremely fast, won both the Angler of the Year and the Rookie of the Year in the year 2000, which was 22 years ago now. And I'll say this. So I've had the opportunity to spend multiple days in the boat with Timmy or Tim. I think it was Timmy during the Tim Horton coffee days. We'll ask him about that tomorrow. He's retiring. He can probably go through all that. That'd be a good story. And I'll get into this tomorrow because we will have Tim on the show talking about everything that he's doing. But between the tackle companies that he started, the success that he's had on the water, the Elite Series wins, the Bass Angler of the Year, the Rookie of the Year title, he's done a lot in the industry. He's been around for a long time, and it's kind of been a little rough on him recently in the past. But he'll get kind of a 3/4 of the year to kind of soak it in for his last full year in professional. And there's a number of these guys in Bass Pro Shops. I don't know if that was a question for Cara or not, but I know that like Brian Snowden is doing that same thing. It sounds like Timmy's kind of doing the same thing where they're taking kind of long time established pros who are with the White River Marine brands, specifically the Nitro Tracker brands, and doing a lot of educational seminars, guiding stuff, really utilizing them full time with Bass Pro Shops instead of on the tour and then doing things on the side. So we'll talk to Timmy tomorrow, talk about what his plan is in his remaining 6 professional events at the top level. He did leave the door open, though. Like I said, it's fishing's weird. You've got the opportunity for Toyota Series, for BFLs. I don't see him fully hanging it up in it. But all right, on to the Angler of the Year races, and we will start with the events that are going on right now, which is the MLF Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, where Michael Neal, they're actually only in their second derby, but Michael Neal leading that with 200 points, and then he followed that up with a 31st in Florida. So Neal will be in a really good position there. Like I said, this is just their second out of 6 tournaments. On the Elite Series, the guys who got out of Florida as they head to the third stop on Santee Cooper, David Mullins. Having a great year, kind of competed for an Angler of the Year the past couple of years. One of the guys that's really been solid. Really been solid the last couple of years. And then John Cox in second, Micah Frazier in third, Stetson Blaylock, Buddy Gross, Jamie Hartman, Jake Whitaker, Brandon Lester, and Scott Canterbury. Some of the bigger names, all at the top. Really good mix of anglers that are in the race here. You've got Polinick in 13th. You've got Jay Shakurik. Remember we had him on. He was the one, his dad is the walleye pro. Kind of understated, really kind of quiet guy, but a really good start in Florida for that 22-year-old rookie. You got Patrick Walters in 20th. Porosnik back. He's in 22nd after Florida. Scott Martin in 27th, probably a little bit lower than he would like to be after 2 events in Florida. Hackney in 32nd. Jason Christie in 40th, and the guys who have a lot of catching up to do. Paul Mueller, looking forward to some live scope derbies coming up. And then we head over to the MLF Bass Pro Tour. What's up? AJ just walked in. No, it's all good. To the Bass Pro Tour, and we will look at the standings for the Bass Pro Tour. And leading the way there, shocker, Jordan Lee, 226 points. Jacob Wheeler, 224 points. Brian Thrift, Kevin Van Dam, Randy Howe, Casey Ashley, Edwin Evers, Andy Morgan, Jesse Wiggins, and Randall Tharp. So it is an absolute barn burner at the top of the BPT Angler of the Year standing. So, like I said, tomorrow on Bass Talk Live, we have the one and only Timmy Horton. It's been a while since he has been on the show, actually, but he has agreed to come on. And then day 4, I will actually be out of town on Thursday, but we did film a day 4 that will go out, a taped day 4, but it's a really good one. Frank did get the fly tying vise out. He's talked about the how to close the eyes. He's doing a feather treble on the tail, just some of the cool things that you can do during the off season to get ready for the year. And that will go out Thursday morning, regularly scheduled. And then the week following that, as we get into the Red Crest week, I believe we have Skeet Reese scheduled to come on. And then we will probably have the winner or top finishers of the Bassmaster Elite Series that is going on Santee Cooper. So that's all we got for a Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow for another edition of Bass Talk Live. We'll see you then.